I was going to paint our little pieces of photo etch here. Remember we stuck those on yesterday? And again, I don't know what's the matter with me lately. I forgot to rinse out this paintbrush that we used when I was touching up the little gun. So I remembered how much trouble I had pouring this bottle into a test tube. So I got a bottle here of isopropyl that was empty, and I put, well, as you can see, up to there, of Windex. And the idea is I should be able to pour into this a lot better, as long as I'm careful. Let's give it a try here. I probably didn't need that much. Anyway, let's just, for the fun of it here, we'll take our little brush and, it's pretty hard. See if we can see it starting to dissolve. Oh yeah, look at that. I think we waited about 45 minutes yesterday for the other brush. I don't think we're going to have to do any kind of waiting for this one. You know what? I can use that right now already. After I get the fluffy off the end of the brush. Just give it one more time here. I may have to give this 2 coats. This is the same kind of paint as that's on the deck that you see right here. When I was painting this part right here, I had thought that this section in here was probably going to have something, fitting in there, kind of like this did. But I just paged ahead here, and nowhere do I see anything going in here. I see stuff going on top of it, but nothing actually sitting on it other than, maybe a few small components. This is where the ships are going to mount on the back. Or not ships, but I mean the motor launches. They have to somehow be mounted on the back. There's 4 of them. And they're going to go on brackets that go here. So I'm thinking now that maybe I should go ahead, as long as I'm using, the right color, and just paint this. I may have to, I don't know if I should be painting this back wall or not. The light gray, it's kind of the right color already. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to try and video it, and that way I'll be able to do probably a better job. And we'll take a look at it after. We have done everything now on step 46. Yep, 47. And I'm almost sorry that I paged it way ahead, because there is a lot of stuff that has to go on this piece yet. I mean, we've got, we see this here and this over here, but it just goes on and on. And I'm not going to show you because you'll get discouraged. Well, it appears that everything we need is on the E sprue or the J sprue. Now, in all likelihood, I'd be able to tell these apart just by, visually looking at them. Well, how else could you look at them if you didn't do it visually? But what I think I should do here maybe is get myself at least 3 different tins so that I can label them again. Now, here we have J36, and here we have J36. We need 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of them, 2 of these. No, they're pretty obvious. Some of these other pieces, I think they're going to be pretty obvious. I don't think I need to label them. They're fairly distinctive. E6, E7. Well, I don't know. Maybe I better label them just in case. I mean, I got lots of tins. Why not? I didn't realize how bad a job I did painting these until I edited the last few scenes out there. And my goodness, look at this one here. The photo etch was almost glaring out of it. Okay, I think that's going to sort of self-level now, and I'm pretty sure I got it. It sure doesn't do as good a job as the airbrush, does it? And I still missed a little spot. I don't know if I should, Hey, we're looking through the macro lens. Forget about it. Okay, I can't forget about it. I've got this obsession going on here. That's gonna have to do. Now I was wondering, how is it that I ended up with these little bubbles on the surface? And then I remembered. After I was through painting there, I upended the part so that the discs were, on a level plane, and I put sort of a little blob of paint, you might say, or droplet of paint on the discs and let it sort of spread around. And I didn't realize that it contained bubbles. Yeah, and as the moisture evaporated out of the paint, well, the bubbles still stayed there. It could be I could have possibly seen it and, popped the bubbles, but I didn't notice it. Well, it's too late now. But as I've said before, unless the light hits it exactly right and you're looking very, very close, you can't see it, with the naked eye. So, it's just going to have to do. And surprise, surprise, I remembered to clean out the brush this time. Perhaps there's hope for me yet. While we're talking about bubbles in my paint, one of the viewers made a comment, and it went something like this. Do you suppose when you're shaking up the jar in your paint shaker, you're, mixing bubbles in there? Well, I had wondered about that myself, too, because as far as I'm concerned, what I'm making there is more or less a very thick froth. And, there's probably bubbles in there. About the only way I can think of to run a test would be to have it all set up so that I could take the jar, quickly take the lid off, set it underneath my macro lens, and watch to see if bubbles come to the surface. My uneducated guess is, probably big time. I can well imagine that some of you are wondering, well, Ron, if you knew that the shaker was going to put bubbles in your paint, why did you make it? Well, the reason I made it was not to shake up paint, but was to shake up little bottles of dye. And the dye was later going to be put into a resin, which was later then going to be put into a vacuum chamber, which would have removed all the air bubbles. From back when I was doing my pen turning stuff. Some of you may well remember me doing that. So I'm just using it now to shake these bottles of paint because I got it. But, I know there's something better out there, and it's on my list. Now, if I remember right, I said that we were going to take a close look later to see, how that paint turned out. I see this little white spot on the top right there at the end of the bristles. I'm wondering, what is that? Because that's not the new paint. That's like... Maybe I missed a spot? I thought I'd put it on there pretty thick. Anyway, that's what we've got. That paint that I did sort of put on there fairly heavy because I wanted it to sort of act like a crack filler. It has blended in with the rest of what we had sprayed down here. At least I think it has. And then there was this little patch that I put on right there. That seems to be okay. But what is this little tiny, is that bare plastic? How did that happen? I'm beginning to think that perhaps there is no hope. Try and get rid of that little shiny spot on the top there. Probably putting too much on here. Okay, let's let that dry. I think I pretty much got it covered up. When this paint dries, it darkens. Okay, I've got all my little trays labeled, so I can't get pieces like this mixed up. Yeah, let's start at the top here of number 47, and we need E7, and that's this one right here. Okay, E7, right here. Now the next one we need is E30. It should be fairly easy to spot because they kind of all have the same sort of shape to them. Maybe I should have my other glasses on. I can't see it. E30, where would it be? There's only one E sprue. Okay, I'll put on the strong glasses. Oh, I see what the problem is. E30 is just a little guy. Okay. Very carefully now. E30. Now E26, 24, E26 right there. And that's J, E26, there we go. Now, as we move down, okay, there was only 3 of those sort of things up here, and down here we need them again. I think they're probably mirror image to each other, so we need E6. E32. Yeah, E32. E6 we got, 32, and now E25. It'll be this one here, yep. E25, there we go. Now we need a whole bunch of stuff off the J sprue. I think we're done with the E sprue. Okay, now for the J sprue, there's 2 J sprues. And we need 2 of each one of these. 35, 36, and 26. I'm just going to go ahead and nip them off and throw them in the trays. Now for the J37, it's so obvious we don't need a special tray for it. And that's this right here, and we need 2 of them. It can go anywhere. Alright, I'm just going to take out a few minutes, probably about an hour, and get the extra sprue and flashing off of these parts, and maybe by that time very gently now. We'll be able to take a close look at our paint job here and see if we can, you know what, I'm seeing light spots again. Now here again, another little place where it'd be easy to accidentally nip off that little peg that I'm going to need. It probably plugs into somewhere on the ship. Now this little piece here is E30. And the reason I'm showing it to you is because there used to be a little piece of sprue right there. And it was kind of bent a little bit, this piece, almost a little bit V-shaped. And you can see this slight discoloration there just where I'm touching. And, you know, if I was to try and straighten that out too much, I'd probably end up, you know, breaking it. So I got to be really careful with a piece like that. I guess when it was attached to the sprue, I must have, you know, handled it a little roughly, or, well, let's say it happened in the factory. All our flashing and sprue is trimmed off these little pieces now. And you may recall that yesterday the episode was a little late uploading. Well, it's because I let it run too long and I didn't get at it. I don't want that to happen today. But I think I will take out a minute and we'll just zoom in on this little gun here. And whatever is. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. We do not need the super macro to see that there's something funny going on there. But like I said, I'm just going to leave it. Nobody's going to notice anyway. Speaking of anyway, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.